Hello, and welcome back to another Let's Vintagify video. Today we are going to be, as you saw in the title, we're going to be vintagifying Pokemon in Chuck Jones style, or the very traditional 1950s Looney Tunes style. I had this idea a while back, so you might have seen sketches for it like a few months back, but I decided I wanted to flesh it out some more. And initially I was gonna stick them all into one video: Bulbasaur, Squirtle in his evolved forms, Charmander in his evolved forms, Pikachu, but I am very busy and I have very limited time right now, so I could really only do Bulbasaur for now. So if you want to see the other ones, let me know and tell me which one you want to see next. And we're also going to be trying something a little different. I'm going off of the screen recording feature on Procreate, as opposed to just filming me drawing it the whole time. So tell me if you like this setup better than what I used to have. This style was like surprisingly tricky to nail down. I had to do, as you see, I had to do multiple iterations to really kind of get the muscle memory down, which is something that if you are going into character design or want to practice doing other styles, you're going to have to do, and you're going to want to do in general, is to draw the style over and over and over again, because the more you draw it, the more it'll start coming a little more naturally, and you'll figure out kind of what the line art and the shapes and everything are supposed to be. With Chuck Jones, it really seems like he didn't rely a lot on smooth, unbroken, circular, round shapes. They kind of were more straight and blocky almost. Like, he made circular shapes out of smaller straight lines, if that makes sense. So it really took some figuring out and finessing to realize what was straight and what was curved, and what the rules were around it, and how to incorporate it into these Pokemon renditions. But I've always loved Chuck Jones. He's also one of my favorite artists ever, and I grew up watching a lot of vintage Looney Tunes, so obviously this has very much influenced my own style. It was also fun getting into these kind of painted backgrounds. The thing I really like about vintage Looney Tunes from like the 50s is they had very graphic, textured, stylized backgrounds with purposely off-kilter line art from the coloring, and the texture and everything really kind of made the untextured, unshaded characters pop. And I just always thought that was pretty interesting. Getting into the line art now, the line art is very specific. It really is kind of one thickness throughout. There really is not many tapers. It seems like there's only very mild tapers on certain things, and I assume it's because if you have a lot of tapers, it's harder to track when you're animating, and it's easier if you just have kind of one thickness and you don't have to really worry about where the taper starts and where it ends, and because if the taper is different lengths, it can get kind of jittery on the screen. Anyway, a lot of this was just kind of me messing around and trying to make sure that things still read. I'm kind of not used to working without a taper, so it took a little bit of getting used to for me. For color, I wanted to stay true to that kind of Looney Tunes Chuck Jones style, so I literally was pulling in a bunch of screenshots from various Looney Tunes episodes and just eye-dropping colors and placing them in. So the way that animation used to work in the 50s, they didn't have computers, obviously, so everything was handmade and hand done. The backgrounds were painted, and then the animation was hand painted on cells, which were clear acetate sheets, and they would literally paint right on the back of the sheet, and then anything else that was going to be behind or in front of or whatever was also painted on acetate sheets and then layered. And then the camera would literally sit from above, and all of the pieces would kind of layer on top of each other the way that they're supposed to be. So I tried to replicate that with my layers here. I initially had all of this on one layer, but I decided I wanted these pieces to sit in the front, so I cut them out, put them on a new layer, and adjusted the blur and also gave them a very, very, very slight drop shadow. I also applied a very, very, very slight drop shadow to Bulbasaur and his crew here. I duplicated all of the layers, I merged them together, and then I made the layer all black, put it back underneath all of my previous layers, and then just slightly adjusted, very, 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 very slightly, put in a Gaussian blur, and just moved it off a little bit. This helps create the illusion that this layer is just slightly sitting on top of the other layer because there's just the smallest little drop shadow. Now let us go to the reveal. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you liked this kind of new layout of a screen recording instead of my hand drawing, or if you prefer it the other way. Let me know what starter evolution you want to see next. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I'll see you next year. Bye-bye!